Hey, what is up, you piratical pirates? Hope you've been up to some nautical nonsense. Barnacle Berwick here today to tell you I'm trying something new. And this video is something new. If you're here for the Galleon video, don't worry, it's coming out in a couple days. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I put a little bit more into it than usual. So I've been playing Sea of Thieves for a very, very long time, since launch. And I feel like that there aren't many games out there that do what Sea of Thieves does. I mean, it fills such a niche slot in my gaming repertoire, and there's something so charming about that in its own silly, weird way. And I just want to talk. I want to say that, well, I believe that Season 12 of Sea of Thieves is going to bring about a golden era to the game. Back when Barnacle Berwick was, well, not Barnacle Berwick. You see, believe it or not, I wasn't always this awesome pirate guy. I was actually, get this, a normal human being. I had no idea what Sea of Thieves was about, and trust me, I think that the game that I played the most was Overwatch, of all things. I got it with a friend, and I remember almost every night we'd be playing it, like, up until the sunrise. It was pretty awesome. But the only reason I know about Sea of Thieves is the fact that I was in the theater program, and I was actually playing as a pirate. And one of my good friends at the time came up to me and said, "You need to play this game." And I was like, "Sure, man. If you want me to play this game, sure." And he's like, play it. Look at the trailers. Tell me what you feel about it." And I was like, well, okay, sure, right? I could use something for this, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm playing a pirate guy. I like pirates to begin with. I mean, sure. What's the harm in checking it out? And so, you know, I pull it up on my computer when I get home, and I'm blown away. This is unlike any other game I think I've ever played. And I was instantly hooked at just the beginning of the trailer, with them all pushing up the capstan, the waves, and all of it. You know, when people say, oh, this game changed my life, it changed my brain chemistry, I don't really bat an eye, because I don't believe it most of the time. Because people just say that nowadays, like, they're like, oh, you know, this changed my life, I'm a different person now. But when I tell you Sea of Thieves changed my life, it truly did. I can vividly tell you what my first session of Sea of Thieves looked like. It was like it was yesterday, honestly. I remember going through the cycle of picking out a pirate, and it took me a while, at least 30 minutes, because I thought that what you got was what you got. But I ended up sticking with this guy, a Hulk Hogan wannabe. And I liked him. He had a mustache and some long hair. I thought I could trim that down in case, you know, this game followed the laws of normal hairstyles. But I found it cool. This was my guy. I got to be him. I was at Sanctuary Outpost, and there's something about the name Sanctuary Outpost that made little Barnacle Berwick go, wow, this must be where safety is. I mean, I shouldn't have to worry about getting killed by skeletons or other players. It was just this. And so I walked around until I found my boat. And when I did, I made that connection in my head. Like, okay, there might not be a tutorial, but I can put two and two together. I jump in the water. As I climb up the ladder of my ship, I hear the rocking of the waves, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of unique. You have an anchor to raise and sails to put down. There's so much work put behind this. As I got behind the wheel, I could feel like I was the one commanding this ship. As my sails billowed in the wind, the splash of sea foam hitting the side of my ship, it was like my eyes and my ears were all eating a painting. It was magical. It's one of those experiences you can't take away. As I sailed in just some random direction, I stumbled upon the Lonely Isle, which is now my favorite island in the game, since it was the first island I stumbled upon. I didn't really know where to go or if there's a specific place I should go. I just found an island and went there. As I anchored my boat and hopped onto the land, I was kind of amazed. This game had so much at just bursting at its seams. As I stumbled across the island, I found a piece of merchant loot. I mean, in the video right now, it's just a bait crate, but it was, you know, one of those rare ones. And I brought it back to my ship because I was excited. I got my first piece of treasure. I put it on my deck and sailed straight back to Sanctuary Outpost, where I would sell it. And I remember holding it and being like, wow, this is awesome. How do I drop it? And I had to, look through my settings, and as I looked through my settings, I had to watch a guide on where I needed to sell this. And I remember it told me in the guide, like, hey, if you're trying to find good loot, go to shipwrecks. So I set sail, and lo and behold, within about 5 minutes, I had found a beautiful, beautiful ship sticking out of the water. So I jumped in, and, it was kind of surreal. It was this big, creaking hulk of a galleon. The moans of the air escaping, it was something that I felt like it had never been done before. Then I found it. I found a chest of 1,000 grogs. It was something that I thought was the first of its kind. I thought I had found something unique. So I rush it back onto my ship, swaying with being drunk, and that's when I hear a little bit of a on my door. As I turn around, it's my brother. He comes in and he's like, oh, hey, it's time for dinner. What game is that? I tell him, oh, it's Sea of Thieves, this new game. And he's like, whoa, that's cool. He's kind of amazed by it as well. I remember it distinctly because he also said, how much was it? And I was like, oh, it's like $60 or whatever, I'm pretty sure he went into his room and started downloading it before dinner. Because he was also just like, whoa, this is pretty cool looking. And I remember I was like, oh, I should probably go and eat dinner. So I log off with my ship filled with loot. Because obviously I could do that. It's a single player game, right? I mean, I could always just come back to it. Yeah? No. That's not how that worked. And little old me, I had to figure that out the hard way. But, when I did, it was a little bittersweet, right? This game's a multiplayer game. Right. I thought that I was in single player mode. This was my first session. But then it kind of dawned on me, like, whoa, this game's multiplayer. Dude, that's awesome. Like, there are other people out there who are playing this game with the same amount of enthusiasm as me, who also want loot, and also want gold. It's awesome! That was such a cool thing to me. And that was it. I was hooked. This game was going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And trust me, it has, okay? Long time later, okay, like at least, like what, 5 years? I don't even know. Was it 2018? 6 years. It's been 6 years I've been playing this game. But Barnacle Berwick, that's what you're asking. Barnacle Berwick, why? Why are you telling me about your life story of Sea of Thieves? Why? Trust me, it all wraps up. It all wraps together. Just trust me on this, okay? I like to think I wasn't the only person who played a little bit of Sea of Thieves and went, wow, this game would be better with friends. And trust me, I got my friends, all of my junior high friends at the time, to get the game. I convinced and begged on my knees for them to play the game. If you don't believe me, here are a couple screenshots of me and all my friends from when we started playing this game. Shout out to the crew of the Misfit Toys. You guys know who you are, but that was probably some of the most fun I've ever had in this game. Still, back on track. This game blew up. I remember going to the movies, sitting down, and seeing a Sea of Thieves trailer on the big screen. Yeah, I was with my family, and I was like pointing to it. I was doing the meme, right? And they were like, what are you talking about? And I was just there. Still, the fact that this game was snowballing into success. And it didn't help that they kept on getting these awesome updates. The first major content update was the Hungering Deep. And if you were there, oh my god. This update was something else. It was insanely fun. You and 4 other crews had to go out and fight the Megalodon, a new boss that they added. A couple months later, we'd get the Curse Sales update, which was like, whoa, world building in my Sea of Thieves game? Hell yeah! Outposts were under siege. The vendors were all fearful of the new skeletal threat as they had unionized under a mysterious cause. And it was our job, the defenders of the pirate's life, to go out of our way to smite down these skeletal fleets, and it was fun. They added alliances for this so that you could take a righteous cause with other crews, or you could swindle them at the very end and take it all for your own. It added layers to this game that felt like it already had infinite layers. Forsaken Shores would later come out that year, and holy moly, was it awesome, but also kind of sucked for solo players. But still, we don't talk about that. It was awesome that we were getting all of this content. It was content. It felt like I was in an arena with Mike Tyson, but instead of fist, he had updates, and he was just pounding me. that sounds bad. But still, the end of it all, after 1 year of the game coming out, we got the anniversary update, which brought in a new PvP game mode called Arena. And if you played during Arena, you know that this was pretty fun at launch. Alongside that, we got Tall Tales, 9 adventures that you could go on with your friends for a beautifully written story. I would say that this was the mark of where things started to slow down. Content started to become more of these monthly little tidbits, and it was great because they had already released so much. And we were well fed, we were eating good. And now we were getting these little monthly tidbits, little, oh, you just go out and do this for this week. I hope you have fun. And then what I would consider to be the worst thing that has happened to Sea of Thieves so far happened. Seasons were a concept introduced into the Sea of Thieves during 2021, and what is now considered to be the modern era of Sea of Thieves. We get a medium to large amount of content injected into our veins, and the developers hope that the high lasts long enough to make it to another bout of content. And I'm gonna be honest and say I have never been a fan of the whole season concept. And I felt like I was getting less bang out of my buck for this game that I bought a long time ago, but still, I felt like I wasn't getting as much as I used to. And yeah, don't get me wrong, some of the added features through seasons were well deserved. But at the same time, the break between seasons were getting longer, and we were getting mostly framework updates, things like captaincy and being able to bury treasure. Which most people found frustrating because, well, most believe that they should have been in the game since the beginning. Things were starting to look bad. I will be honest, for someone who had been playing this game since launch, I was chasing that initial high that I got when I first booted up the game. And I'll admit that things were looking grim. Until Season 8. November 22nd, 2022 marked the dawn of a new direction Sea of Thieves was taking. It introduced Hourglass combat, where you could pick a side between Athena and Reaper to duke it out in an isolated form of combat which would replace Arena. And it was nice. People were wanting a new form of PvP as well as an ability to duke it out, like, thematically, with the lore, which they had kind of fell off with making. But still, it was cool. The rewards, oh my god, the rewards were curses. Ghost Curse and Skeleton Curse. These guys, oh my god, people have been wanting these since the game came out. And it felt like that this would be the update that would start to shift us in the right direction, right? Right? Yeah, it did until it didn't. You see, in a game like Sea of Thieves, most things felt achievable for an average player. I mean, yeah, sure, you could eventually grind out that commendation. What, Legend of the Sea of Thieves? Yeah, just farm skeleton fleets. Oh, Hoarder of Barnacled Gold? Just go to Shipwrecks. It's like, you can do that, right? And you'll get your commendation, you'll get your cosmetics, and you'll feel super happy. Casual players saw that level 100 requirement for the curses. It brought in a new bunch. You see, Sea of Thieves never really had a cheating problem until Hourglass came out. When there was an actual goal to PvP, some massive reward that most people just didn't want to grind out, that's when we started getting hacking, exploiting, and no, not crud launching or quick switching. Those are fine. We're talking pirates just getting onto your ship and being damn near cheating was a big issue in Sea of Thieves at the time, and I feel like I'm not like in the wrong for saying like, yeah, cheating was bad, but I feel bad because obviously Rare put in a lot of work into the Hourglass update, and there was a lot of prep behind it, and I had a feeling that this is where they wanted to start that turnaround for Sea of Thieves, because I feel like it had gone downhill before that had come out. Everything leading up to that felt like framework, and now that we are getting some actual juicy content that we could sink our teeth into, it was the community that was ruining it. You had people being overly toxic, driving away newer players. You had people who were just simply too good, and the matchmaking wasn't well made. So you'd have, you know, Coughing Baby versus Atomic Bomb pretty much every other game. And it drove a lot of people away. People didn't want to queue into Hourglass just to lose, and that was a big issue. I know it turned a lot of people away, including me. I stayed away from Hourglass for the first couple weeks, just because of the horror stories I had heard from friends. I wasn't interested in it. Yeah, I wanted the curses, hell, I have it now, but it didn't seem like it was a smart idea. I didn't want to put myself through that just for a cosmetic in a video game. And especially with the cheaters, oh god, no, I couldn't. I would play the game off and on for a couple weeks after the release of Hourglass, and I didn't really pay too much mind. And I'm be honest, I didn't really get back into Sea of Thieves until Season 11. That is when I noticed. I saw that spark one more time. With Season 11, the biggest change was that you could dive to your voyage, cutting down the time of a simple mission by at least 50%. And on top of that, Sea of Thieves doubled down and made the level caps 500 for all trading companies. It made the game worth playing again. I'd been a long-time veteran of Sea of Thieves, and being able to see my number go up a little bit more than usual was amazing. And this is coming from someone who'd been maxed out at the latest cap of 75 for at least a couple years now. I was fascinated. I was reeled right back in. Right when I thought I was walking out, Sea of Thieves had pulled me right back in. And I was happy. I was content with that. I even made a video just because I was super excited about the changes. And I think we all know what happened. So instead of me trying to talk about how I became a YouTuber, I want to talk about the entire consensus, the essence of this video, the golden age of Sea of Thieves. A lot of people will argue that the early days were the golden age, or maybe Hourglasses. I don't know who would do that, but there's probably someone out there who would say that, but no. I think the golden age is yet to come. I truly feel that the PS5 release and launch of Season 12 will skyrocket the player base and make old players and new pirates fall in love with what Sea of Thieves has become, but more importantly, what it will become. The content that is set up for the rest of the year is just oozing that original cycle of the first few updates, and I'm just so excited to see what becomes of this game we all know and love. We have a huge thematic boss fight with Flameheart and his ship. We have new weapons and so much more shenanigans coming after that. I haven't felt this excited for Sea of Thieves in a very, very long time. And being a smaller content creator means that I have an audience, and if I have an audience, I want to make sure that this point is out there. That I want everyone who's watching to at least try to love the game as much as I do. I really hope that every new player will hopefully do as I did. Laughed like I laughed, smiled like I grinned. Oh, that's so sad. Sell it, they're right there! Sell it, Hey, what's going on, you piratical pirates? Hope you've all been up to some nautical nonsense. What's up, you piratical pirates? Hope you've all been up to some nautical nonsense. Make memories like I made them. Feel like I felt. And fall in love with the game I have loved for so long. thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, please consider subscribing, see some of my future projects, and leave a comment telling me when you first started playing Sea of Thieves. As always, I'll see you when I see you, pirates. Take care.